thing that we want to stress is that even though you don't intend to go in the river, if you're visiting the river and going near it, you are still in danger. In the case of the 11-year-old girl, she was not swimming. She was simply walking along the banks of the river with her friends and her family. And in this case, she slipped in and she fell in the river, and obviously now we've had a tragedy with her. So we want people to understand that this river is beautiful. There's no doubt about that. This river can be enjoyable, but it can also be very, very dangerous and deadly. So when you visit the river, particularly with your children, take the time and focus on their safety and yours. With that having been said, I'd like to turn it over to my Bakersfield Swiftwater team captain, Aaron Lynham. Aaron, you want to have anything to say?
Hi, how you doing? My name's Aaron Lynham, captain with the Bakersfield Search and Rescue Team. Basically, like we're putting out the message, it's a safety message for everybody. You know, watch everybody, stay together with everybody. Don't get too close to the river. I mean, like I said in the a lot of news releases we've done, just watch your footing, because there's a lot of smooth granite from the water. So you can take foot entrapments, you can slide off the rocks, you can fall into the river like our 11-year-old did. It's just, you know, just be careful, use common sense, watch everybody, watch your kids. Because like I said, our teams are getting called a lot, which is, you know, typical for this high water year. But like I say, we're getting pretty ran down, but we're still out there doing what we need to do. So just, like I say, the help from the community. If you see something wrong, call it in as soon as possible and just kind of watch everybody.
Right.
Hello, my name is Brian Baskin. I'm the captain of Kern Valley Search and Rescue. I'm the captain in charge of the missing people up at the lake. Wanted to just kind of fill you in on what we've effectively been doing since the initial missing person over 3 weeks ago. We have continued to be on the water, in the water, and over the water searching to make sure that we bring those that are missing home. We can't stress enough how dangerous this is. The sergeant mentioned it's dangerous for our crews. We just want you to know there are still dangerous spots we will not go in and we will not raft. However, that being said, we're putting in our full effort every day to search. We put boats in, we search the strainers, we break apart all the debris piles, go through rapids, search areas of high interest, and make sure that we're covering it as fully as we can. We can use the assistance of the public in helping us by making sure they stay safe while out there, and also spreading the message through their own social media and when they're out at the river to other people that are at the lake. Make sure that if you're near that water and there's any chance that you could get into it at all, that you're wearing a life vest. In addition, if you actually are out there and want to go on the water again, please use one of the outfitters. We also are working on preventive SAR measures where we're working near areas people are camping, and we're actively talking and making contact with every person to make sure that they understand the hazard that's right in front of them. As we heard the tragedy of the 11-year-old girl, we wanted to make sure that that doesn't happen to anybody else. It's thankless and tiring work, but we're going to continue to do it, and we will bring everybody home eventually. We take this very personally and very serious. There's other things that people can do if they are interested in helping search and rescue. Do remember we're a volunteer organization. We do take volunteers, and there is a process to join, but anybody that wants to help in the future, we could benefit by your time volunteering and starting that process with us. You can contact the Sheriff Department or visit one of our unit's websites for that information. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, correct. Something else that I just wanted to touch on too before open it up for questions and answers with some of them is the fact of how important it is for me too, for you guys to reach out to some of our partners in Los Angeles and other markets. I invited all folks here today because it's important to get this message out. Since 2000, we've had 96 people die in the Kern River. Now we know 52 of them were local, and we know 39 were from out of town. We didn't have data available for the others immediately. So a lot of the people who are dying on the river as well are from out of town. So you guys can be our words, as well as the people watching it, sharing it on social media and sharing the message with our partners in LA too, to let people know these safety measures when it comes to the Kern River. And once again, I'll turn it over for any questions you guys have for either of our search and rescue captains or Sergeant Williams.
Keysville South is in the Bureau of Land Management's jurisdiction, so those matters are a little more complicated and beyond the authority of the Sheriff's Office. The Board of Supervisors addressed that 2 years ago in 2017. And within the limits of our authority as a county, we have addressed a number of sites. We're always open to suggestions, though. Well, we've covered this as well. If you find yourself in the river unexpectedly, or you find yourself in a position where you no longer feel like you're in control, we tell people to assume the lounge chair position, which is on their back with their feet downriver, their head obviously above water, and basically to look for the safest, soonest point that they could try to get out. It's really hard to predict what we will see in the future. What we do know, though, is that every year that we have high, especially record high flows, we typically have a higher loss of life. So I don't want to say that I expect to see more, but it won't surprise me if we do have it. Sure. This year, during the winter, we had a lot of rain and snow. Our snowpack in the southern Sierras amounted to about 180% of normal. So once that snow starts melting off, it feeds into our rivers and our lakes, and that ends up here behind us. I don't know that I would say that there's safe areas in the river. There's areas that are more dangerous than others. So as you can see behind me, this would be probably one of the most dangerous areas. Well, in 2017, we saw a record high number of deaths in the river, which was 16. We also knew that was also a record high year for snowpack and runoff. And when we followed it closely with this year, we knew that the potential was high for a high loss of life. So our public outreach, both through the media and direct contacts through campers, has been our approach to mitigating that. We've had both. The two young men who drowned in the middle of July, well, I should say, let me rephrase that because we haven't determined their cause of death. The two young men who went missing in the middle of June were from the San Bernardino area. The 11-year-old girl who went missing last weekend is from Bakersfield. So we have a little bit of both. That is a startup program, so we really don't have any statistics at this point to show how effective it is or not. It's just an idea that someone had that was well intended, and we hope that it has a positive effect. Yes, feel free to jump in on any of these.
How many hours have you guys taken into search just so far? What's that to happen?
Do you have your hours tallied by any chance? To be quite honest with you, we've been too busy with our searches to tally the hours at this point. I can tell you that we're easily into the hundreds of hours on each search at this point, though. We recovered the body of one male, I believe it was 2 days ago. That body has not yet been identified. There are still 3 missing bodies in the river. Until we get the one that was recovered identified, we still consider there to be 3 missing.
How many people do you have on the list?
I have about 220 members county-wide. On any given day, that varies how many of those are available for searches, though. So that's kind of it's a difficult question to answer. But I can just tell you that I get as many as are available on any given day.
I'd just like to add to that we are doing joint operations with all of our different teams, including Bakersfield Search and Rescue, Tehachapi, Southern Kern, China Lake. So all the teams have participated during the searches, and we're trying to keep our resources as fresh and available as possible while still producing an effective search effort. I think that the term, the term is a little bit misleading. Usually there are causes behind all of the reasons that people end up in the river, and preparation and making good decisions out there goes a long way to make an effective, safe kern.
The term, to some degree, is misleading. Like Brian said, it really comes down to an individual choice and preparation. Thinking safely, behaving safely. You can stand next to this river all day long and walk away and go home. There's ways to get in the river and enjoy it and still go home safely at the end of the day. So, killer kern is to some degree misleading.
Just again, we can continue to use support from communities, local businesses, and local people can donate to Search and Rescue. We're all nonprofit organizations. We all do this for free. We can also use volunteers and support from the community in general to make this a more effective search.
Any other questions? Good. Well, we consider every incident a rescue until it's no longer. So I don't think that in my time on search and rescue, we've ever considered something a recovery and then had it become a rescue. Not that that's impossible, but our first effort is to try and find people and bring them home alive. Any other questions? Anything else?
No, I mean, if somebody's standing on that rock over there and you can get to them, that would be a rescue, right?
Yes.
How do you do that rather than looking for somebody who's been swept away?
I'm not sure I understand your question. It's difficult to say how many, if you're talking about a percentage, how many rescues to how many recoveries. We do more rescues than we do recoveries.
Okay, good.
I don't have that available at the moment.
I can give you just a snippet. This is not an official number, but an idea is that we've rescued 12 people in comparison to the 3 that are missing during the same period. So that might help you.
Any other questions? Good?